Gamers today will never know the intense terror of Sinistar, flying through space, being pestered by flocks of harmless workers and the deadly warriors, all the while trying to desperately mine asteroids before he arrives. You don't have long to collect your materials and create the Cinibombs you need to stand a chance. More and more warriors surround you and attempt to blow you up, but they are mere gnats compared to what awaits you. And then you hear it. Beware, I live. You desperately try to mine another asteroid or two, while you hear the menacing taunts of I hunger and run, coward. If only that was an option. And then you see him, the metallic, demonic face of the Sinistar. You release a flurry of Cinibombs and watch his pieces crumble away. But wait, you're out of bombs and he still has his face intact. You are short by a single Cinibomb. Escape is your only option, but it's far too late. You watch helplessly as you're sucked into the demon's mouth and crunched to death, like a mere snack to the Sinistar. This is the 1983 arcade game by Williams called Sinistar, and it was probably my and many others' first introduction to true horror in video games. But can the experience be faithfully recreated on the Atari 5200? Let's find out.
I am Sinistar. Beware, I live. Beware, coward. I hunger. Run, coward.
I love the original arcade version of Sinistar, so once I found out about the Atari 8-bit conversion that was brought to the Atari 5200, I had to grab it however I could. The cartridge was available on Atari Age once upon a time, but it's since been removed. But luckily I found a copy on eBay for $70-some and I jumped all over it. And my initial experience with the game was mostly positive, but I do have some issues with it. The title screen is pretty cool with some pretty useful options. The Sinistar logo sort of replaces itself with red, blue, and pink versions. And you use the ship to choose your options. And by firing at them, no less. Cool stuff. You can choose 1 or 2 players, your starting difficulty, the number of lives you begin with, and whether you auto-fire or manual fire. I would prefer manual fire, but it appears that I need to do some work on my joysticks, as I can't get the Cinibombs to launch as they should in this mode. But automatic fire is just fine. It has your ship constantly firing in whatever direction you're facing, but you still have to manually release the Cinibombs. A smart choice for controllers with triggers that notoriously fail. Once you choose all your options, you're dumped right into an asteroid field in deep space. Visually, things aren't too impressive at first, as you get a few small stars and a few asteroids all about. You have little red workers that sort of hover all around you, and you can spend your time destroying them if you want, but they are mostly harmless, except for the fact that they construct your mortal enemy, the Sinistar. You'll also notice that there are more rounded ships that start to surround you, and those are the warriors. They will take fire at you in a fast, relentless manner, but they seem to have trouble lining up their shots, which is all the better because they eventually swarm you in later levels. If you've never played Sinistar before, then you'll likely wonder about the screen, shooting at whatever you come across. You'll more than likely encounter the zone where the workers are constructing the Sinistar as well, and you'll notice more and more pieces being added to his body, or head as it were. Eventually Sinistar springs to life, and you hear a pretty good version of his "Beware, I live" line, which is iconic. It's a bit scratchy sounding, but it's not bad. Then he'll probably eat you a few times, and it's game over. So what do you do? Your main fire doesn't hurt the Sinistar, so what defense do you have? Well, you have to run into and shoot asteroids in order to free flashing dots that almost look exactly like the background stars. With the help of the flashing dots, you'll collect up to 20 Cinibombs, and this is your only hope to kill the demon that pursues you. It will take 13 or more of these bombs to destroy him, so you want to make them a priority. And it is satisfying to successfully blow up the Sinistar and be warped to the next worker zone, or warrior zone, and so forth. The objectives aren't exactly beginner-friendly, but it makes for a unique experience that is complex, intense, and just plain fun. It is still true horror to hear the "Beware I live" line before you are ready to fight him, and he is as relentless as ever. Novice players will find themselves in his jaws more often than not, but quick movements and a barrage of Cinibombs will get you through. The shooting and combat is mostly good, but if you've ever played the arcade, you'll notice the controls are off. It appears you shoot in 8 directions on the 5200 port, but in the arcade you had 49-way optical joysticks that really made you feel like you could face and shoot in any direction. It's sorely missing here, but the game is still playable. It just feels less authentic, and it will definitely be a turnoff for hardcore fans. Graphically, the game isn't bad. but it can be a bit boring to look at when the titular Sinistar isn't on the screen. He really is the biggest part of this game, and is the shining star of the graphics. The workers look pretty good, but the warriors look like lesser Millennium Falcons, and I don't know, I don't care for them all that much. But they look okay for what they are. The asteroids have a nice depth to them thanks to their blue and white color scheme, but the audio is headache-inducing in my opinion. The constant sound of your bullets firing doesn't make for great audio in 2024. I do love hearing the iconic lines of the Sinistar, but only the one is included. I always like the "Run, Coward" and the intense screams of Sinistar, but unfortunately, those lines are missing. And I get why. The fact that any speech is included is commendable to be certain, but my biggest complaint was the garbage and visual glitches that would appear on my screen after a while, and I was certain it was because of my cart. But I downloaded a digital version to try on my Atari Max, and, well, it does the same thing. So what's going on with the graphics? Why do they start to degrade and become so messy looking after playing a while? Well, I did some research, and it appears that maybe this port wasn't 100% complete. I read a forum where people were complaining about a similar issue, but I can't tell if it applies to all versions or not. I imagine this game falls under one of two situations. One is that the game was never optimized or completed, and some sort of memory issue causes things to become corrupted. Either that, or my 2-port Atari 5200 has something that makes the game do this. I know there are certain games that don't work at all on 2-port 5200s, and this could be another example of that. So just be aware, the graphical degradation is something I and others have experienced and could happen to you as well. But a bigger complaint is the questionable hit detection at times. Sometimes I go right through an asteroid or enemy when I should collide with them. And this can even happen before the graphical issues start. But it can work in your favor at times, as occasionally it seems bullets from the warriors go right through me. I guess you gotta take the good with the bad, right? Overall, Sinistar is a pretty good port to the Atari 5200, but with some notable issues. So I think we need to head over to the Atari Network pros and cons section to make a decision on what score to give this one. For the pros, I do like that the complex gameplay is mostly kept intact. It's rewarding mining for Cinibombs and using them to blow up the Sinistar, and the intensity of escaping him is still present in this version. I also appreciate that they were able to keep the "Beware I Live" voice sample in this version. It's iconic to the game and required if you ask me. I also really like the way the Sinistar looks. Heck, the rest of the game looks fine, and there's even a working Defender-style map. The other ships and asteroids look pretty good for the most part too. But we do have some big cons to discuss. First, the game has progressive graphical issues that cause garbage to appear on the screen, and letters to disappear from words. And it seems other people have experienced this too. The collision detection isn't always great either, and you'll have times where you fly right through something. Your ship only has 8 directions instead of the 49 from the arcade, and it definitely makes the game feel more mundane in the control department. And the sound effects of your gun shooting is just awful. I don't mind the rest, but that gun got on my nerves fast. And while I'm glad to have one of the Sinistar's famous voice lines, I do miss hearing "Run, Coward" and "I Hunger." So with all that in mind, I feel like this game should get a 2. But the thing is, I still have fun playing it. Yes, it sucks with the graphical issues that start happening after some time. It sucks with the poor collision detection, and it's not great being limited to 8 directions. But a bad version of Sinistar is still pretty fun, it turns out. So after much debate, I decided to give Sinistar for the Atari 5200 3 rebuilt controllers out of 5. Yes, it is flawed, and you need to be aware of those flaws going in. But it's hard to call the game not worth it when I had fun playing it. Sinistar might be an acquired taste for some, but if you like it and you have a 5200, then I think it's at least worth tracking down the ROM for your Atari Max flash cart. Fans of Sinistar should still get some enjoyment out of this one, and even if you've never played this game in the arcades, if you think it looks good, then try it. You'll probably enjoy it. So thanks for watching my review of the Atari 8-bit conversion for the 5200 in Sinistar. But now I want to hear from you guys. Have you played the arcade version, or this version of Sinistar? Did you like it? Do you agree with my score? Should I have gone with 2 controllers instead of 3? Let me know all this and more in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed this review, then please subscribe for more just like it. We do a review every Sunday and a featured video every Thursday. Also, if you like Discord and discussing all things Atari, then please join the Atari Network Discord server. A link will be in the description. I'd also like to thank all my Patreons for their support. Thanks to them, the Atari Network can get better equipment and more things to cover on the channel. The Patreons also get behind-the-scenes videos, exclusive audios, and early access to videos, along with this shout out at the end of every video. So thanks guys for being classy Atarians and joining our Patreon. And don't forget to check out our merch. Link in the description for the Patreon and the merch as well. Okay guys, I'm the 7800 Pro Gamer, a metallic demon put together for the purpose of destroying the galaxy here at the Atari Network. And I'd like to thank you all for watching the review of Sinistar. And remember, stay classy Atarians.